YXBA is back, and I'm ready to mash some more buttons.
Tiger uppercut!
Today I want to talk about something that seems to come up every once in a while. I went to the new video game store in my hometown. It's kind of like a retro place, which, it's kind of cool actually, because it's got all the old systems and a lot of the old games. And then I started talking to the owner of the store, who pretty much considers himself to be an expert. And I imagine, compared to most people that come into his storefront, he would be, because he knows something of the business side of gaming. But compared to us hardcore freaks that are, on the internet and studying this stuff like crazy, that's not that impressive to me. But I'm kind of getting a little bit sidetracked here. What he mentioned to me is this big theory that he has, and I think he's been spreading it around to everybody that comes into his store, and that's that, in his opinion, Nintendo's about 5 years away from going third party. It never ceases to amaze me that the second Nintendo starts to struggle, gamers start predicting their demise. I mean, it's been happening my entire life. It was basically doom and gloom when the N64 was out. People were saying, oh yeah, this is going to be the end of Nintendo now. Maybe they'll do one more console and then they'll have to go third party. And then it was doom and gloom after the GameCube. And they felt that Nintendo would never ever have the best selling console ever again. And that happened. People were worried that Nintendo wouldn't be able to survive in the handheld market once Sony came in, and obviously Nintendo has done quite well in the handheld market, including having their best generation ever with the DS when they were competing against the PSP. I have to keep in mind that deep down, this is deeply rooted in wishful thinking. Gamers want to be able to have one system and play almost all of the games that they want to play. So people want Nintendo to go third party because they want to be able to just buy their Xbox or buy their PlayStation and get all the Nintendo games and all the third party games on there as well. But don't act like you're able to give Nintendo this amazing business advice, okay? Most people that say that, they're looking specifically at, I think, just how well, generally speaking, Nintendo is doing on the console side of things, and they're kind of ignoring the handheld side of things, because Nintendo is actually doing better right now, in my opinion, than Microsoft is, and nobody is saying that Microsoft is going to be exiting the dedicated hardware business. When you factor in Nintendo's handheld success and their sales on the Wii U as well, they're not doing that bad. In fact, they've been profitable, and I'm not convinced that Microsoft is profitable in the gaming business right now. But I think that people are just misguided when they talk about how much money Nintendo could potentially make if they went third party. The potential for Nintendo to make money is still, in my opinion, much higher if they continue to make their own dedicated hardware. I definitely think that they should support platforms that are non-competitive or largely non-competitive with them. Like, for example, supporting the cell phone market if they don't plan on making a cell phone themselves. And even if they did, I think it's just probably better to leave that one the way it is and not make a cell phone of their own and just support every smartphone with their games. I think it would also be a good idea if Nintendo doesn't do their own VR right now to actually maybe make a game for Oculus Rift. Even just take something like Nintendo Land and kind of revamp it a little bit for VR. And also, I think Wii Sports stuff could be actually adopted for VR. And at least that way Nintendo is gaining experience in working with VR, so that when they do bring out their own solution later on, they have that experience to draw from, and they're also getting their IP into a market that they're currently not competing in, which I think is just a good idea, and it's the way things are going. When you look at the potential, though, as a platform holder, you get to make about 30% of the money off of all third-party games. And the potential there is huge for Nintendo to make money. Like, you don't have to fund those games, okay? You're just making your 30% on every game that's put on the platform, whether the game was profitable or not. Yet even right now, the Wii U, they didn't make much off third-party games on there, that's for sure, but the 3DS did have quite a few popular third-party games, and I think that there's huge room for growth in that regard. And alternatively, to put your games on the other platforms, you're going to lose 30% right off the top. You're not necessarily going to get preferred placements that you want on like PlayStation Network or the Xbox Live Store or Steam. So there's some definite challenges there. And also the potential exists when you own your own hardware to come out at some point with some sort of a subscription fee service. The potential is there for them to make a lot more money by staying in the hardware business, but I think they're wise to diversify into businesses that they're not competing in directly right now, like mobile, like theme parks, like the film industry, and potentially, it'd be cool to see them do some stuff in VR as well. My main point is, don't act like you're giving Nintendo this great business insight or that you're some kind of a genius if you're predicting the demise of Nintendo. Nintendo has been in this business for a long time, and every single generation there are naysayers just like that person I met yesterday suggesting that Nintendo is going to leave the hardware business. For me personally, this isn't like a bias thing. I don't really care that much. I know some of you are probably going to disagree with this, but if Nintendo did go third party, to me as a gamer, I would probably be okay with that because I think it would be kind of cool. You could just buy one system that had all of the Nintendo games, and then I could get some third party games on there as well. I know that I'm still going to get my Nintendo games, and for me that's the key. My preference would be that Nintendo would compete directly and get at least 2/3 of the third-party games onto their console so that I wouldn't have to buy a PlayStation or an Xbox if Xbox figures their stuff out. It's really not a bias thing from me. I just don't think that at this point they're anywhere near getting to the point where being a third-party developer makes sense for Nintendo. This has been Colin Unger reminding you to keep your thumbs glued to YXBA. And always remember to select Start. If you enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe.